and then everything just went black and I woke up on the floor. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. Like, who am I supposed to contact? There was no real warning for me. Like, the color had literally left your face. I have never heard of this being a normal thing. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Sydney. I'm a perinatal athletic therapist and postnatal fitness specialist. On this page, we talk all things perinatal, whether that's pregnancy, preconception, postpartum, and currently we are going through my personal perinatal journey because I am currently in my second trimester of pregnancy. And so I'm kind of taking you guys through everything that I've experienced from day one, and actually before day one onwards to hopefully into postpartum and early motherhood and all that kind of stuff. So if any of that stuff is of interest to you, please subscribe and stick around for a while. So I am currently 13 weeks pregnant, and orange juice is like the best thing ever right now. I don't know why. I have no idea why, but it's all I want to drink. Don't mind Cooper, he's just making a little nest in this blanket down here. Typically we don't let him in the nursery, but because I'm hanging out in here and I just got home, I figured I would let him. He's like making a nest on a blanket, so he'll just be relaxing on the floor over here. Okay, we have a lot to talk about today. So I'm 13 weeks right now, and 2 weeks ago I had a pretty scary episode. I fainted at work. I posted about this on my Instagram, and a bunch of people, probably like close to 50 people, has said that they have either experienced fainting or they know someone who experienced fainting during pregnancy. And being a perinatal therapist, I was shocked because I have never ever heard of this happening to somebody else. And honestly, I had no idea it was something that could happen during pregnancy. So I want to talk about it because if this video or watching this video can help you feel a little bit more at ease about what you experienced, what you may experience during pregnancy, I just want to bring to light that this is a possibility of something that could happen to you. And to be quite honest, if I would have known that this is semi-normal or this is something that can just happen to people during pregnancy, I probably wouldn't have been so terrified, because when it happened, I was so scared. Like, there was so many thoughts going through my head in regards to like, what is happening? Why the heck am I fainting? There has to be something wrong if I'm fainting. And my mind goes to the worst place first always. And so if this video can help you just feel a little bit better about the situation that you're going through, it is worth it for me to talk about it. So I'm gonna kind of take you through the entire experience that I had from what happened when I fainted, literally every second of what happened when I fainted, and then going to see my doctor and then getting my testing done and all of that kind of stuff. I'm gonna kind of take you through my entire experience. So yeah, let's get into it. Before I get started, we just got this gorgeous chair. This is the Dream on Me Chatham. The box is actually right there. This is the Dream on Me Chatham glider. We got it from Walmart. I can tag it below. I'll just put the link below. I am so far super impressed with this chair. It was, so regular price, I think it's around the 400 range. I feel like for nursery chairs, you're either looking at like $1,500 or somewhere between $400 and $600, and this one was actually on sale for $250. And so we went and picked it up at Walmart a couple days ago, and it is so far incredibly comfortable. It reclines literally like almost flat, so it reclines back super far, and it is super comfortable. It glides, so it glides back and forth this way, and it also swivels, which is something that we wanted. We wanted a chair that was gonna move in any direction that we wanted it to while we're rocking a baby and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, if you're looking for a good, not crazy expensive chair for your nursery, go give this one a try or go check it out. And I feel like Walmart has great returns too, so if you hate it, you can always take it back. Okay, let's get into what happened when I fainted. So it was a Monday morning. Now, typically on Mondays, I work 8 to 4. And for whatever reason, I had a couple cancellations that morning. I didn't start until 9. So I had a little bit of time, and I think I had like a banana, a piece of toast with butter and peanut butter on it. I had some cheese. Like at that time I was still eating a lot of snack plates. And so and I think I had some grapes as well. So I knew that I had a decent breakfast in my body. I was drinking an iced coffee, and I also had some water that morning too. So I got to work around 9, or a little bit before 9, because I had my first patient at 9. And then at 9, I started treating my patient. So I had a patient come in. He was recovering from an ACL repair. He was pretty far in his recovery already, and he was actually just visiting our town for over Christmas. So he was just looking for someone to kind of help him carry through his rehab while he was here. And then he was going back home a couple weeks after. So he was on the bike. And while he was biking, he was on there for about 10 minutes. And while he was on there, I was standing up and sitting down and going to check something in my room. From there, we walked across the clinic. I had been standing for a bit already. We had walked across the clinic we have kind of like a grab bar on the side wall, and it's right beside the door of the owner or physio's office. I was standing in the doorway, and you know when you stand up too fast and you get that sort of feeling of, or your eyes go a little fuzzy, but then it typically goes away after a couple seconds. And so I was standing in her doorway, and I started to get that feeling. Like my eyes started going a little bit fuzzy, and I said, I feel a little bit dizzy, and then everything just went black and I woke up on the floor. So basically the amount of time that it took for me to say I felt a little bit dizzy to the amount of time that I was on the floor was seconds. It did not take a lot of time. So there was no real warning for me. Like I didn't feel dizzy for a long time. I didn't feel faint. I didn't feel like I had no symptoms. It was just, I felt dizzy. I was on the floor, like literally one after the other. Luckily, I verbalized that I felt a little bit dizzy. So the physio was already on her way over to me. And then she and my patient actually kind of caught me and gave me sort of a safe move down to the floor, or safer than if I would have just fallen. So I woke up on the floor. They were putting my feet onto a chair, and I was lying on the floor on my back. And I started to just take a couple of really deep breaths because I didn't talk. I didn't even open my eyes. I just took a couple deep breaths when I came to. I opened my eyes. The physio was there. My patient was there. Our admin had come over because she had heard that there was something going on, and she was just checking to make sure I was okay. And they just kind of kept me on the floor for a couple of seconds. I took a couple deep breaths, and when I felt ready, which was maybe a couple minutes later, I sat up. And then from there, I sat into a chair. I got up into a chair. And I would say that took about a couple minutes. And from there, our office manager / kinesiologist came over, and she said, "Would you like me to continue the treatment with your patient?" And I said that would be really great. He already knew all the exercises he was going to be doing, and they were all written down in the soap note already anyways. And so she just kind of took him into the next room and carried through the treatment plan with him. From there, I was sitting in the chair, and the physio whose office I was in, she was like, "Let's just take your blood pressure really quick." It was 112/70, I think. 112/70, something like that, which is fairly normal for me. I typically am on the lower end of the sort of normal blood pressure. So she took my blood pressure. It was okay. This was probably a couple minutes after I came to already. And she also said I looked really, really faint. Like when I was standing in her doorway, she said, "I looked over and you looked like white. Like the color had literally left your face." And so as I was sitting there, she's like, "Okay, your color is starting to come back now. You're looking like a fleshy human again." I said, "Well, I have water in my room. I have a coffee, an iced coffee in my room, and I also have a granola bar." So I went into my room, I grabbed my granola bar, I grabbed my my water, and then I went back into her room. They share a wall, so I was just going around the corner. I just snacked on that for a bit. I drank some water, and then I felt okay. Like I almost felt completely fine, other than the fact that I felt really anxious because I had fainted and I just couldn't understand why. I had two patients, one after the other, so about an hour of treating. And then I had a patient for a full hour. And so the kinesiologist actually took that patient. So I went home for about 3 hours. When I was at home, I called my doctor's office. I hadn't seen my midwife at this point. I was 11 weeks. I wasn't seeing my midwife until the week following. So I called my family doctor and I was basically like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. Like, who am I supposed to contact? Do I contact my midwife, who I haven't actually seen yet, or do I go to my family doctor? Do I go to ER? Am I supposed to go to OB triage, which is in Windsor, so it's like 40 minutes away? I was like, I'm just really unsure what I'm supposed to do. So she basically then put me on hold for a minute. She talked to one of the nurses that was there, and then she said, actually, your doctor will see you this evening if you could come at around 7. And I was like, absolutely, I could come for 7. Now, Daniel came with me, which I was really thankful for. We went to the doctor. He checked my blood pressure. He checked my breathing. He checked he did some palpations of my stomach. Like, he just kind of did a routine checkup and everything seemed like it was fine. And essentially from there, he said, I think this is sort of a vasovagal reaction. Vasovagal is essentially where, like, when you stand up too fast and your blood pressure plummets for a second, or you overheat for a moment and then your body just kind of like shuts down for a second. Like, vasovagal reactions can happen very randomly for a large variety of reasons. And he said it's probably because of some blood volume fluctuations because you're growing a human, but let's just do some tests to be sure. So he sent me for blood work, and he sent me for an ECG, and he also sent me for an echo. So I went to get my blood work and my ECG done the Friday of that week. So it had been 5 days. And I essentially got those results the next day because they just upload them online for you. So I looked at them and it said everything was normal. Actually, all of my blood levels looked fantastic. None of them were even like borderline low. They were all normal or on the higher end of normal. So I was really happy about that. And then they called the next week and they said your ECG looks normal as well. I'm still waiting on an appointment for an echo, but I'm glad that those few things were normal. And then I went to my midwife on the Wednesday of the next week. So I got my blood work done on the Friday, and then I saw my midwife the Wednesday of the next week. When I was there, she essentially said, this is something that can just happen and we don't always know why, but it is something that does happen to women during pregnancy sometimes. And it's something that happens. And I was like being someone who works with pregnant or postpartum women on a regular basis, like I see pregnant or postpartum patients every single day at work, and I have never heard of this being a normal thing. And then I posted about it on my Instagram, and like 50 people had said they either have experienced this or they know someone who's experienced this. And I was like, then why aren't we talking about it? Like, why is this something that is not talked about? Like I said, if I would have known that this was something that could be semi-normal, it wouldn't have scared me as much. And I wouldn't have felt so anxious about it. Like, there was a lot of thoughts going through my head at that time. I also had my ultrasound, my 13-week ultrasound this past week. Let me show you. So I had my 12-week ultrasound this past week because that's when we get our genetic screening done. Look at that little bean. So little bean is 7 centimeters right now, so teeny tiny, but looks like a baby. And man, oh man, were they kicking around and moving all over the place, and it took her forever to get some good pictures. So anyways, I got my ultrasound done and everything looks perfectly normal. So there was nothing Like, praise Jesus, there was nothing that showed up that was abnormal whatsoever. So it was just like a fluke episode, a random thing that happened for no apparent reason. And I'm extremely, extremely thankful that everything is okay. But like I said, I want to bring this situation to light. So if any of you end up experiencing something like this or something similar, obviously, if you do experience this, please mention it to your practitioner. Like, please talk to your practitioner about it so that they can do all the screenings that they need to do to make sure everything is fine. But know that it is something that can happen to people. And so if you do experience it, it doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong. It just means for a moment, your body was like, nope, I'm done. I need a second. And like think about the fact that you're growing an entire human being. Like, that is so much for your body to handle at one time. That's kind of my story and what happened there. And really the goal is to just bring different situations to light that maybe aren't talked about enough. And I'm sure one of the reasons that it's not really talked about is because a lot of people probably, when they're fainting, is happening before they've told anybody that they're pregnant. And so they're obviously not going to share that with a lot of people because they haven't shared that they're pregnant yet. And so if you have experienced fainting, or if you know someone who's experienced fainting, please write it in the comments below so people who are watching this video can kind of see who's experienced it, how many people have experienced it, because I think it's a lot more common than we realize. And I just, like I said, I don't want anyone who's going through this experience to feel alone like I did when I was going through it, because it's very isolating and it's scary. It's anxiety inducing. And I would just really love for us to talk about these kinds of things that happen. So anyways, thank you for watching this video. I know it was kind of a long-winded conversation in regards to what happened, but again, I feel like if you're watching this video, you probably are looking for some answers of what's happened with you, or you know, you might be pregnant one day and you just want to know the different possibilities of things that could happen. So anyways, thanks again for watching this video. If you guys have any questions or concerns about sort of what I experienced, you want any more information, please feel free to leave those in the comments below and I will address them at some point for sure. So anyways, thanks for joining me and I'll talk to you guys soon.